On today's episode of Fast Sleds That Make You Feel Slow, we take this rolling tetanus shot to HayDays. So it's that time of the year again. Fall's just around the corner, and so is grass drag season. And the big event this year is we're going out to HayDays. That's like the World Series of grass drags. Now, it's a bit of a drive from where we're at here, about 14 hours, but always said we wanted to get out there one day, and this might be the year. Now, granted, HayDays brings out all the big dogs, so competition is going to be stiff, and not expecting to go out there and be placing in the top three, but you never know, and you can't win if you don't try. So we're going to go out there, have some fun, try and do our best, and see what happens. I mean, worst case scenario, we get knocked out early and have to go swap meet shopping more. Who doesn't love spending more money on parts they don't need? Now, the one thing about HayDays is there's not really any vintage stock classes, nothing really in the classics that apply to any of the sleds I could run, so I'm probably going to end up just helping my friend out here who runs an 800 stock. And we've been working on the last few seasons trying to get the bugs worked out of it, but she's been built from the ground up as a stock class 800, and that's what he's going to run. So we're going to try and put all the work and tuning and tweaking we can put into that thing and see if we can't get her down the track a bit quicker. So we got the late model division of Barn Fresh here. It's a 2014 Indy 800. Of course, it's too new for me. It's not mine. Now this sled, I mean, it might be newer, but it's definitely seen a lot of road salt in its day. And you should have seen how many of these bolts and stuff were corroded when it was first getting converted over.
Barn Fresh, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's kind of shiny. Don't look at that. I mean, luckily there's not a whole lot of shine left here, so yeah, it still slightly qualifies for Barn Fresh. But anyways, this was a perfect candidate, that a sled that had a rough life, a lot of corrosion, and would have needed quite a bit of work to kind of get it reliable again for the trail. Well, it's now riding the grass drag circuit pretty much. Yeah, it never sees the snow anymore is what I'm trying to say. I've said it before, one of the best things about running like a stock class sled is how much emphasis you got to put in the tuning. And you spend a lot of time digging up, buying, searching for parts, trying to get that last couple mile an hour.
And a lot of dollars.
Yeah, well, they're not mine though, so I'm cool working on this. Some of that stuff might look pretty bling, but surprisingly some of it's also been scored pretty cheaply at the swap meets. That's why you never quit looking for stuff, even if you don't need it. Ooh.
Hey, get out of there!
It's currently like 11:30 on a Saturday night, and I've had about 4 hours of sleep in the past 48 hours, but we're out here in the shop trying to accomplish something. And it's always important to try and accomplish something. In normal Barn Fresh racing style, we're waiting until now to try and get things sorted out. And apparently one of those details that haven't been found until now is a nice big crack right in that rail. Now, you might have seen it on public service announcements from the 80s, but yes, crack is bad for you. So since we're a large budget race team, we're just going to call up the local factory Polaris rep and get a whole new suspension. Well, yeah, scratch that. We're just going to have to hack this thing back together with what we got. So that crack looked pretty significant at first, you know, but now it already has a predetermined endpoint for the crack propagation, so I'm just going to say that's factory. Some of the bearings are getting a little bit long in the tooth. A couple of them were pretty much seized up completely, but you know, bearings are expensive, so we just injected them with some oil and I get another season out of them. Getting everything strapped down, one step closer. Well, the skid's all finished. And believe it or not, that is cleaned up and probably about as clean as that thing's been in years. Don't worry about them bushings. Well, it's loose, but it's not falling off, so I don't know why them bushings are shot. Alright, starting to come back together. Another late night in the shop. Now you better not wash this thing.
Oh yeah, it'll get washed.
Nope. It needs speed dust. That's just all free horsepower. So after reading down through the list of all the classes once again, I saw that Retro 700 and did some more looking into that. And this class looks like it's something I might actually be able to run in. I mean, heck, I've got most of a hood and a belly pan. So what the heck? We're going to go racing. Doesn't matter if it's a 700 class and we're running a 440. Oh well. If you got the opportunity to run somewhere, give it a go. It wouldn't be the first and it won't be the last time I enter something that's pretty well outgunned. You're never going to win if you don't try. And honestly, if I can just have the ability to actually take a run out at HayDays, man, that'd be something. Now there are some rules. And it talks about fuel tanks and no bungee cord, zip ties, repair tape. That's the only thing holding that whole sled together. Well, I don't see twine and twist ties listed in there. So we're going to have some work to do. Got to put the hood back on. Got to go through this thing and get everything fixed up to meet spec and, well, safety requirements too, because those are sort of important. Not to mention, we got to try and squeeze a few more ponies out of this thing because we're already underclassed. We'll be outclassed by both financial backing and engine size. So the old belt guard is definitely one part that's going to need to be replaced. She's not really ISR certified with all that extra ventilation there. And apparently the West Virginia chrome doesn't count either. So we actually have a random old aluminum clutch guard that somebody else had made many years ago. I picked it up at the swap meet for, well, not a lot of dollars, I'm sure. It's at an 1/8 inch aluminum plate, so should be plenty strong for this application. We just got to make it fit. Gonna have to more permanently attach this gas tank. It didn't say anything about having glass bottles as coolant reservoirs, but, well, they might frown upon that. The old potato sack seat's gonna need more firmly attached than just bungee cords. Now, as far as the engine goes, it's mostly worked over a little bit. The one thing that really hasn't been done to it is compression. Believe it or not, this thing still runs on just 90 octane pump gas. That's the original head for the motor. Now, being that we're going to try and go all out, maybe it's actually time to run her on real race fuel. It pains me to pay that much per gallon though, believe it. It's really been nice being able to run the entire grass drag fleet off of one can of fuel. The leaf blower, the buzzard, this thing. Heck, I even run the 2-stroke mix in the old truck if I have to. But those old pipes ain't seen no race gas in quite a while. Maybe it's time. Should probably clean the air filters. Well, we're never going to get rid of all the zip ties. And I apparently got to add a whole extra cover plate across the top of the tunnel. I'm guessing that's for protection against the studs. Now the whole problem of putting that extra tunnel plate on is that the rules specifically state that the aluminum must be the same thickness as the original tunnel. And the only thing I got that has enough aluminum and the same thickness is another tunnel. Looks like this one's going to get parted out a little bit early.
Now I know this thing is in mint condition.
Well, we got the donor tunnel almost patched onto there. Kind of sad that we're going to be covering up that good decal. Boy, that last race at the end of the year, last season, still never get all the mud out of it. And that's about as good as that's going to get. We're going to have to extend the seat a little bit. They require a 24-inch long seat. Bungee cords and duct tape aren't allowed. Man, that seat looks way oversized. But that's the specs that we got to hit. 24 inches long. Also had to add some more styrofoam, and not just the old cut-up Army sleeping pad here. Still going to keep the burlap sack though. So we're making little brackets to hold down the seat.
We'll line those around the perimeter. I can't see it getting much more firmly secured than that.
So we're down inside the tunnel here, just checking to make sure things aren't loose, and I think we might have found
a lot of potential weight savings. There's like 2 inches of solid mud up there. So they're requiring that bar end to be plugged. So we're going to use a good old wine cork here and just kind of jam that in there. This ain't no hack job. We're going to do it right. Oh, almost. Perfect. I mean, if I don't have the worst looking sled at HayDays, I'm going to be disappointed. Well, this doesn't happen often, but we're getting serious now. We're actually going to try testing before racing. It's a new concept, I know, but we're going to try it. The cows were not impressed. Should be using that as the tow rig, not that thing. So, public service announcement. If you happen to do your testing out in a field and said field happens to contain poison ivy, everything becomes a biohazard at that point. Had to take an old Windex sprayer and jam it to a bottle of alcohol to try and disinfect and neutralize that. Now it's like 3 days before we gotta leave, and of course the sled's still not finished. We're down to putting some of the final grind onto the weights, trying to get a better launch. I actually usually try to not run any type of an engagement notch or flat, just so it has a really smooth and pretty low engagement. You know, really helps when you're trying to load the thing on the trailer. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and we gotta try and get this thing to 60 foot better. The old cool-down cart has been doing surprisingly well over the years. It was supposed to be the backup or the mobile cool-down cart, but it ended up being the primary cool-down system for, well, 2 years now, I guess. We've ran up to 3 sleds off of this thing at the same time during races. And that little RV pump is surprisingly efficient on battery life. But the hoses aren't really long enough, and it's been kind of a hassle trying to hook it up, so we're going to give it an extension. Standing in the rain, rummaging through the junk pile. I mean, that's where you get all the best parts, right? Got to make some ISR legal flap retention cables. I think it's clearing up. Oh man, I forgot about that repair. Should probably actually put a real nut on that. You don't even want to know how many sleds are getting cannibalized to make this thing ISR legal. This belt guard's off an Indy 650. We're getting metal 360 degrees around that clutch. Now I gotta say, this has been a lot of extra work trying to make this thing meet all of the specs. I realize that we're going to one of the main events, and hey, it's their game, so you gotta play by their rules. And we're trying to do everything we can to meet the spec and, you know, come up legit on their side of things. Well, it's another late night, almost 1 a.m., but she's getting towards race ready. Well, crunch time is finally here. No more time to wrench. Got to start loading things in the trailer. Just throwing everything we can into the toolbox. Now, nothing's ever as fast as you want it to be. Granted, I think my 60-foot times need a lot more help, but, well, too late now. We got to send it. There's always more that you could have done, something you didn't think of, more tuning, more test runs. At the end of the day, sometimes you just got to run what you brung, and hope you brung enough. Well, I think we've got pretty much everything but the kitchen sink loaded up in here. Well, on second thought, we might actually need that. It's actually more space than I was expecting, so that's just more parts we can try and buy and bring home. Never seen one of these stores before. I like this store. Well, we're just getting base camp set up here. Trying to find all the tools we probably lost and figuring out all the items that we forgot. So far the sled's past tech and we're gonna try and go racing and go testing tomorrow. Some last minute changes, but we made it. Luckily the sun beating down on our mobile hotel here is making it like 98 degrees inside, but you don't need air conditioning. Only the most luxurious of accommodations. Well, we got the power strip getting hooked up here.
Is that the one that shorted out last year?
No, I threw that one away. This is a new one that I found in the trash. Just don't touch any metal. Gonna rock the old free scrapyard 2-stroke generator so we can burn last year's fuel and smell clots all day. Well, we're struggling a little bit. We've only got one propane tank and it's already half empty. And it's gotta last the rest of the weekend. Yeah, so Friday morning. That weather's not looking great. Oh yeah, perfect weather for testing. Well, this is actually gonna hamper the swap meet shopping too because nobody's putting anything out. Yep. Didn't take too long before we started buying stuff. We're 5 minutes into this row and almost have to unload the cart. I'm glad somebody got this thing. Nothing like shopping for spare parts for your race sled while you're in the races in the swap meet. Scored this out of the free pile. It's actually a 3-pulse tack. The one on the sled's kind of been going in and out at times, but heck, we'll take a chance on that price. You know, when you don't want to pay the $5 to have it hauled back on a cart. Now the sun's setting on another day and still didn't buy enough parts yet. Always the mill of choice. Don't need an alarm clock when you got that. Saturday morning. Gonna try and go racing.
Let's go racing, boys.
Now this is the place where big things happen.
Oh, we're missing on the free stuff. Slightly nicer. looks like we're done for the day. You could probably have guessed the results, but it's time to crack a cold one and, well, celebrate losing, I guess. Remember, no cart left empty. Yeah, that whole thing about not buying more stuff, it's not going so well right now. Yeah, the truck is starting to fill up. Might not have won any races, but I think we're winning for the amount of stuff brought back into the pits from the swap meet. Oh yeah, we've reached the point where we're dumpster diving. How do you not pick up the stuff when it's sitting in a trash can?
In the trash.
Yeah. Well, we managed to fill up the entire cart with nothing but stuff out of the trash cans. Things are kind of emptying out now. Now the game of Tetris begins. Well, we're basically done now. Time for the return trip. Well, we made it back here to Barn Fresh HQ. Everything's still running. Everything arrived in one piece. Now, unfortunately, both the old Rotaxle and my buddy's 800 stock sled, they both got eliminated in the first rounds. But that just left more time for swap meet shopping. Just being able to sit out there on the starting line of HayDays, looking down the track, boy, that's a feeling that's hard to replace. I don't care if I came in last place, getting out there and actually competing and just being able to run, that's a whole lot better than sitting on the sidelines. And as long as you're out there racing and giving it a go, you've always got a chance. So now the fun begins of sorting through all the random crap I bought and figuring out what's there. And remember, keep your standards low and your spirits high.